Meet the Royal Mummies here on Nile TV International. Well, an exclusive, a very significant event, a breathtaking event, an event that happens once in a lifetime. And the entire world as a whole is awaiting Egypt's procession of the royal mummies to the National Museum of the Egyptian Civilization. What a spectacle that the whole world is actually anticipating. And almost 24 ancient Egyptian monarchs will be making a historic journey across the nation's capital. In Cairo, the Pharaoh's Golden Parade, as it is called, is going to be traveling along the Nile to the new National Museum of the Egyptian Civilization. Huge preparations at the Ministry of Tourism as well as Antiquities for preparing for this royal procession, transporting of the royal mummies in the presence of large numbers of ambassadors as well as local and international media outlets. An event that is going to grab the attention of the whole world. And reading through this important event, knowing more about the mummies and also the mummification process, the secrets behind, it's always a pleasure to have with us our dear guest, international tourism guide, Mrs. Yomna Salama, who is always adding value through her reading and also through analyzing the whole stories and being also among the tourists herself and taking them to the glory of Egypt. Yomna, thank you so much for coming to Nile TV.
Thank you for having me. It's always my pleasure to be with Nile TV.
Thank you very much. And starting off with the preparations for a huge event. It's a huge event, Yomna, and as I said, that all the world are eyeing Egypt, and it has been making headlines since the announcement. So what are we expecting, and how is Egypt preparing for such a huge event?
Well, at the beginning, I would like to shed light on something very important, that the Egyptians themselves actually sensing nowadays the preparation for this amazing parade. When you drive around the Tahrir Square, you always see it in action. Yes. You see people working here and there, putting equipments. You feel the suspense behind this great event, and you also feel that people are working day and night. When you drive around the Civilization Museum, you also see the preparation, how they are going to receive the mummies. When you go into the first home of the royal mummies, which is the Egyptian Museum at Tahrir Square, we already started to sense that there is something going to happen when they first closed the mummies room for tourists. Mm-hmm. The mummies room at the Egyptian Museum was one of the highlights. So for almost 4 months it was closed, and that was the beginning of the preparation, how they are going to actually take care of those mummies, prepare them in a very safe way to be transported to their new home safely.
Yes, it's breathtaking, this sense of procession, this long-awaited royal mummies parade. As we can see here, part of the mummies that are expected that royal parade, and you know, names that are magic in themselves.
Yes, the royal mummies actually were moving around 22 mummies, and each of the 22, though we have to look at them not just as mummies, those are the kings and the queens of Egypt 1,000 years ago. So let's say something that, can you remember a name of a king who ruled 7,000 years ago? Can we see them today? We are seeing actually those kings being again honored and being again moved like famous kings and queens who achieved great achievements for mankind. Yes. Such as Ramses II, for example. This man who signed the first written peace treaty in history. Mm-hmm. And look at the beautiful queen. And by the way, you remind me of Queen Hatshepsut.
Oh, that's an honor.
Yes, very much. Her personality, her character, this lady who brought peace into the country, who ruled for 20 years a great kingdom like Egypt. She sent the Punt expedition. She built the funerary temple in the West Bank in Luxor. We talk about the military genius, Thutmose III, yeah, who was actually called by the European historian, he was given the name Napoleon of the East. Yeah. Where actually we said, by the way, Napoleon should be called Thutmose of the West, because Tutmosis, before Napoleon. So all those kings and queens who are going to move, each one of them, we can talk in a separate episode about each one of those kings and queens and their achievements to mankind, not just to the Egyptian civilization, to the entire mankind. We talk about Seknen Ra and the beginning of actually defeating the Hyksos when they invaded Egypt. We talk about Amenhotep III, all those kings. And what's so impressive, we can see now the temple of Queen Hatshepsut in Deir al-Bahri, and the place where 10 of those mummies came from, the Deir al-Bahri Kashay.
Yes, very impressive. And you know what is also interesting about this story is that you could feel knowing more those giants, those royals, and knowing more also about the secrets of those royals coming into the limelight is in itself a special addition and a real value. Since long time ago, we've been awaiting this royal procession. How do you think, Yomna, this is going to reflect on Egypt's image abroad? How will it attract further tourists? I know that, I guess you heard also from your friends and yourself concerning bookings in the next phase. Many want to see the royal mummies.
First of all, there are 3 messages sent directly to the world by this event. The first message, that Egypt is not standing still or sitting still. We are moving forward despite the circumstances, despite the COVID-19, despite all what's going around the world. This doesn't stop the Egyptians from proceeding, from achievements, and from actually sending the messages of peace and culture to the entire world. We are a country of culture and history, and we intend to spread that all around the world, just like we did in the past. So this is the first message. The second message, people are in hunger today for a psychological reward. After this lockdown for such a long period, already we have good news. Some tourists started to come to different destinations in Egypt. People are actually trying to reward themselves for such a long time, and now my friends, as you said, foreigners, they are asking, when is the going to be open? When can we come to Egypt? How is things going there? So this is the second message sent to the world, that we are ready to receive the tourists and with all the precautions and everything. So God's willing, by the coming season, we will start to see the coming of tourism slightly, gradually, but surely. God's willing. The third message to the world, that Egypt never dies. When you look at those kings and queens,
immortal
you are looking at, people would say those are dead kings and queens. No, those are living pharaohs. The living mummies are coming again. And for ages, I personally believe, till the end of the world, people will still call their names. And I always say to my tourists, give me a name for somebody who died thousands of years, and you still talk about him.
His name is immortalized.
Exactly. Not just his name, his wife, his kids, his achievements. Give me a name.
Temples, his places,
everything. This only happens in Egypt. So Egypt never dies.
And definitely, this is the greatness of Egypt, and this is the greatness of the Egyptians. And before talking about the royals' mummification, this sense of mummification happened in ancient Egypt for ordinary pharaohs, not only for the royals.
Well, that's a very good question. Egyptians believed in the afterlife and believed in life after death, immortality, and therefore they had to preserve this human body. So it was a must for every Egyptian person to try to secure his body, her body, to guarantee the safe journey to the afterlife. So the mummification, this may be something people didn't know about, was not done for free. You pay to get the mummification process to the high priests and to the priests at the temple. And each one according his financial status. That's why today we have categories of mummies. We have the A class, the B, and the C. We have different categories of mummification.
In what way was it different? I mean, in what way is the mummification of a royal quite different from that of an ordinary person.
Yes, for the royalty, this is the most sophisticated kind of mummification, where you actually extract and take out all the internal organs, like the lungs, the liver, the stomach, the intestines, and you even take out the brain through the nose by hooks, and you throw it away. And maybe we can ask ourselves why they throw the brain away. We can talk about that later. This is the most sophisticated kind, and then you inlay the opening of the body with special materials. Some of them are known to us like natron salt, like ratting, like linen, like wax, resin. This is very sophisticated for the royalty, but there is also the other less categorized mummification, where actually it's not that sophisticated, and sometimes in some mummies the organs are left inside, so they don't do this complete surgical operation by opening in the side left of the stomach, taking everything out, and even the organs that they take out, like each of those kings and queens, their organs are preserved in the famous canopic jars, and each organ goes to a certain jar. So an average Egyptian back then would also be mummified, but in a less quality, let's say, mummification type, which is normal.
The concept of mummification itself and the sense of belief in doing this process, when did it start and how it proceeded?
It started as early as the early dynasties. We do have mummies from the early dynasties, even preserved and dried by the heat, buried in the sand, and the body and the skin got actually preserved through the nature of Egypt and the climate of Egypt. And then it started to develop bit by bit till it reached its complete perfection, if we may say so, in the 18th dynasty, like the mummies. We are, most of them from the 18th dynasty that we are moving, as we can see here. Amazing, actually, where you can see even the hair, you can see the nails,
the features,
the features, the toes.
Vivid.
Yeah, you can see the toes, the nails. You can even, by analyzing the DNA today, find out how they died, what kind of illnesses maybe they suffered from and what they ate. So it's actually like magic today, how this is.
Beauty was in ancient Egypt, you know, and we become thrilled to see, you see, even the sort of wearing makeup was introduced by the queens.
Of course.
So it's another world.
Egypt is the source of everything. Beauty, cosmetic, makeup here, look at the faces, look how they took care of themselves. Perfumes, ointment, oils, massage, body essences.
Body sculpting.
Sculpting, and also dyeing your hair. That's something we do today. They did that back then, to dye the hair, to put the makeup, all this. And by the way, for male and female, they used to take very well care of their personal hygiene, and all this is shown on the walls of the temples.
Yes.
You see jars for anointing, washing and anointing procession in the temples of ancient Egypt.
It is going to be breathtaking, and definitely it attracts the attention of the whole world. We know that lots of representatives of international media will be covering the event. Look at Tahrir Square as we speak, how glamorous it is. And as you've said, that at every beat you can find an addition in the square, and in preparation of the royal procession taking place. Why was it that a secret, in your opinion, at the first place, Yomna?
Well, I believe for two reasons. The first reason is the security and safety. So you cannot really reveal everything. For what we are doing is actually a breathtaking thing. You are moving dead bodies that have been lying there for many years in peace, untouched, and you are moving them today to a new place, to a different place. It's not the first time to move them. They were moved before, even from their original tombs, but that's why it needs to be a secret till we make sure that everything is secured. The second reason, in my personal opinion, is the suspense behind this event. And as I said, we were sensing this suspense day by night from Tahrir Square to the museum, to the Nemec Museum. So these are the two reasons why it needs to be, till now, lots of things are not revealed about the event itself.
We are sure that it is going to be surprisingly beautiful and outstanding in everything. The entire world awaits Egypt's procession of the royal mummies to the National Museum of the Egyptian Civilization. While 400 channels are expected to broadcast the royal procession of the mummies. So imagine all the eyes of the world will be watching and expecting a lot from our beloved country, our beautiful Egypt. Let's watch.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli discussed with the Ministerial Committee for Tourism and Antiquities final arrangements for Saturday's royal procession that will transfer 22 mummies of ancient Egypt's kings and queens to their new home in Fustat. Minister of Tourism and Antiquities Khaled Al-Anani explained that since the event was announced on March 18th, advertising space has been purchased on the procession's route by Arab and European countries. Anani added that some international figures have confirmed their attendance to the event and 400 TV channels have confirmed they will broadcast it. The procession transport 22 royal mummies from the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Fustat. This event is the first of its kind in the world. The new procession will see the royal mummies transported on the Nile and then accompanied by chariots and horses. The royal mummies that will be put on display in their new home belong to the 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th dynasties. Of the 22 mummies, 18 are kings and 4 are queens. Among them, the mummies of King Ramses II, King Senken-Ra, King Thutmoses III, King Seti I, Queen Hatshepsut, Queen Meritamun, wife of King Amenhotep I, and Queen Ahmos Nefertari, wife of King Ahmos. Egypt is anticipating the opening of both the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Fustat and the Grand Egyptian Museum in Giza this year. Work has been underway in the past few years in the NMEC to ensure the halls of the museum are equipped to receive the mummies and sarcophagi. The NMEC covers some 135,000 square meters and overlooks the Ain al-Sira Lake, close to the religious compound where Amr ibn al-As Mosque is located, near the Hanging Church and the Ben Ezra Synagogue in Old Cairo.
Welcome back, and we're still following up on the story of the whole week, actually, and how the world is watching and awaiting Egypt's procession of the mummies parade, the royal mummies, to the National Museum of the Egyptian Civilization. Yomna, if we talk more about their new home, the National Museum of the Egyptian Civilization, and definitely you will have lots of tours going and to the museum to see them after they settle there.
Well, the Nemec, the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, is actually located in a very special place. And by the way, here you can see the cleverness of our leadership and our planning and strategy from the Ministry of Antiquities and Tourism, that every location, like the gem near the pyramids, like the Egyptian Museum, exactly in the heart of Cairo, in Tahrir Square, like the Namek. Where is the Namek located, first of all? The Namek is located in one of the first capitals of Egypt under the Arabian time, El Fustat, near the Babylonian fortress. It's an amazing historical area near the old churches, near the mosque of Ibn al-As, Amr ibn al-As, near the Jewish synagogue. So the area itself is very important historically, and the Namek there is, of course, an added value to this area. It's going to attract lots of tourists because already this area is a touristic destination. It's on the standard program for tourists visiting Egypt, visiting Old Cairo, El Fustat. So it will be a part of the visit to go to the Museum of Egyptian Civilization. And today the idea or the concept in the Ministry of Antiquities and Tourism that every museum will have a theme. So for example, the gem at the pyramids, the Grand Egyptian Museum, will have the kingship and the royalship and King Tut.
Yes, and the treasures of the King Tut.
And the treasures of King Tut.
Yeah.
The Namek on the other side is talking, the concept here or the theme here is to take you in a journey throughout the ancient Egyptian history and the modern history of Egypt. So from the time of the early dynasties all the way to modern Egypt. So you're going to feel like you're riding, you're on a ship and taking you cruising from those early days till you reach today. So indeed, having the mummies there in this museum is one of the highlights. It's going to be a highlight in the museum to talk about this era, to talk about this period of time of the ancient Egyptians. And the display, it's going to actually have around 50,000 pieces on display. It's in a very important historical location, as I said. Adding to that, the building itself. When you look at the structure, the architecture of the Namek Museum, you feel that the building itself is like an attraction by itself, the pyramid and the Ain al-Sira area in front of it and all this. So this is again, Egyptians are making history, and again they are adding to each piece you add in your, like we say, your CV of the ancient Egyptian civilization till our modern time.
Yes, it is going to be a beautiful procession, really royal, and it's going to leave memories. Those are events that happen, yes, definitely once in a lifetime. Once in a lifetime event is gathering all Egyptian stars, and among them superstar Hussein Fahmy, narrating this story of the royals with pride among other stars. Let's watch.
هنا كانت نهاية الرحلة اللي قامت بيها المومياوات الملكية من قلب عاصمة مصر القديمة الأقصر لقلب عاصمتنا العريقة القاهرة، هنا في المتحف المصري في ميدان التحرير
اللي تم افتتاحه سنة 1902 ولحد النهاردة يعتبر واحد من أهم وأشهر المتاحف في العالم، وبيضم أكتر من 100,000 قطعة أثرية بتحكي تاريخ الحضارة المصرية العظيمة واللي امتدت لآلاف السنين.
أكتر من 100 سنة والناس بتيجي هنا من جميع أنحاء العالم عايزة تعرف إيه الحكاية. حكاية حضارة علمت البشرية معنى التمدن، العلوم والفنون، الهندسة والطب والفلك. قدمت البشرية أول نموذج حي لدولة قوية أساسها العلم والإيمان.
المصريين القدماء كانوا مؤمنين بالروح وخلودها وحياتها الأبدية بعد الموت، وده خلاهم يبدعوا في حفر وتزيين مقابرهم وكمان فنون التحنيط وحفظ المومياوات.
ومع ظهور علم المصريات وأعمال بعثات الحفائر العلمية في مواقع الآثار المصرية تم اكتشاف آلاف المومياوات، لكن سر التحنيط فضل لغز حير العلماء وأبهرهم لسنين طويلة.
كالعادة مصر بتبهر العالم من جديد بحدث مذهل بكل المقاييس، 22 مومياء لأعظم ملوك وملكات مصر يتم تجهيزهم لرحلة أسطورية لينطلقوا من المتحف المصري في التحرير إلى المتحف القومي للحضارة المصرية بالفسطاط. المومياوات الملكية اللي هتتنقل تم اكتشاف أغلبهم في خبيئتين: خبيئة الدير البحري داخل مقبرة في الجبل بالدير البحري غرب الأقصر، وتم الإعلان عن اكتشافها سنة 1881. وفي سنة 1898 تم اكتشاف الخبيئة الثانية في مقبرة أمنحتب الثاني بوادي الملوك بالأقصر. مومياء الملك سقن الرع هي أقدم المومياوات في الموكب. الملك سقن الرع بدأ حرب التحرير ضد الهكسوس، وابنه الملك أحمس هو اللي قدر يطرد الهكسوس، وهو اللي أسس الأسرة ال18 والدولة الحديثة. وباقي الملوك والملكات في موكب الرحلة بينتموا للدولة الحديثة. نفس الموكب الملكي بيضم مومياء الملكة أحمس نفرتاري وابنها الملك أمنحتب الأول، والاثنين تم تقديسهم لسنوات طويلة بعد موتهم. وكمان في مومياء الملكة حتشبسوت، واللي أرسلت أشهر الرحلات التجارية لبلاد بونت، وهي صاحبة المعبد الشهير بالدير البحري بالأقصر، واللي بيعتبر معجزة معمارية بمعنى الكلمة. مومياء الملك تحتمس الثالث كمان من ضمن المشاركين في الرحلة الذهبية، وده كان واحد من أهم حكام مصر على مدار تاريخها، وكان قائد عسكري عبقري. ومن المومياوات اللي هيتم نقلها في الموكب الذهبي مومياء الملك تحتمس الرابع، وهو اللي قام بوضع لوحة عند صدر تمثال أبو الهول في الجيزة تحكي إزاي وصل للعرش. حكالنا فيها إنه شاف أبو الهول في الحلم، واللي طلب منه إنه يشيل الرمال اللي كانت مغطية التمثال، ووعده إنه مكافئته هتكون جلوسه على عرش مصر. وقد كان، وخلف تحتمس الرابع والده أمنحتب الثاني على العرش. ومن ضمن المومياوات الملكية في رحلتنا الأسطورية مومياوات الملك أمنحتب الثالث وزوجته تي، الملك المشهور بآثاره العظيمة واللي حافظ على استقرار ورخاء البلاد طول فترة حكمه. وزوجته الملكة تي هي اللي أنجبت له الملك الشهير أمنحتب الرابع، والمعروف باسم إخناتون. ويضم الموكب أيضا مومياء الملك سيتي الأول اللي اشتهر بمقبرته المنحوتة في الجبل، وهي من أجمل المقابر في وادي الملوك، ونقوش معبد سيتي الأول في أبيدوس، واللي بتعتبر من أجمل ما أبدع الفنان في عصر الدولة الحديثة. ومن أشهر المومياوات اللي هيتم نقلها مومياء رمسيس الثاني ملك مصر العظيم، اللي حكم مصر حوالي 67 سنة بعد والده سيتي الأول. رمسيس الثاني هو صاحب أول معاهدة سلام موثقة في التاريخ البشري، وطبعا من أهم آثاره التحفة المعمارية معبد أبو سمبل الكبير، واللي فيه مناظر معركة قادش الشهيرة، واللي فيه ظاهرة دخول الشمس إلى قدس أقداسه في نفس اليوم من شهر فبراير وأكتوبر في كل سنة. ومومياء الملك رمسيس الثالث وهو تاني ملوك الأسرة العشرين، واشتهر بأنه كان من أعظم الملوك وقدر يحمي مصر من غزو شعوب البحر، وهو اللي بنى معبد مدينة هابو في غرب الأقصر، واللي بيعتبر من أجمل المعابد المصرية وكمان من أكثر المعابد المكتملة. المتحف المصري النهاردة هيفضل في مكانه الأيقوني مفتوح للزوار من جميع أنحاء العالم عشان يستمتعوا بعظمته وجمال مقتنياته. وفي الوقت اللي المومياوات الملكية بتشق طريقها في شوارع القاهرة العريقة، في متحف تاني مجهز بأحدث الأجهزة والتقنيات التكنولوجية لعرض مومياوات ملوكنا وملكاتنا بالشكل اللي يليق بتاريخهم وبحضارتهم.
أهلا بكم في المتحف القومي للحضارة المصرية في الفسطاط.
هو واحد من أكبر متاحف الحضارة في العالم، وفريد من نوعه في أفريقيا والشرق الأوسط.
المتحف متصمم إنه يبقى مركز حضاري ثقافي ترفيهي تعليمي متكامل، بيضم قاعات عديدة مجهزة بأحدث وسائل العرض التكنولوجية ومؤمنة بالكامل.
لو الصرح العملاق ده اتبنى واتجهز عشان يحكي تاريخ واحدة من أعظم الحضارات اللي عرفتها البشرية من عصور ما قبل التاريخ ولحد العصر الحديث، فوجوده بتصميمه المعماري وتجهيزاته وكل ما يمثله من حداثة وتطور في طرق العرض والتأمين والتثقيف وطرق العناية بالقطع الأثرية، نقدر نعتبر المتحف القومي للحضارة المصرية في حد ذاته قطعة عرض بتكمل الحكاية.
قاعة عرض المومياوات من أهم قاعات المتحف، القاعة مصممة إن الزائر يحس كأنه واقف في وادي الملوك بالأقصر بالظبط.
وهنا هيتم عرضهم بالطريقة اللي بتحفظهم وتحفظ مكانتهم الملكية وحرمتهم.
وزي ما حرص أجدادنا على تحنيط المومياوات الملكية بإتقان شديد، إحنا هنستمر في الحفاظ عليهم، وهيتم عرضهم في المتحف القومي للحضارة المصرية بطريقة مبهرة تليق بيهم وتعرف في الأجيال الجديدة عظمة بلدنا وسر خلود آثار جدودنا.
حكاية حضارة بدأت على نهر النيل من آلاف السنين، اتطورت واتقدمت، النهارده واقفة رافعة راسها وجاية تحكي حكايتها
وتقول للعالم كله مصر هي أصل الحضارة، مصر هي أم الدنيا.
الرحلة الذهبية للمومياوات الملكية حدث نادر بيحصل مرة واحدة بس في العمر، حدث تاريخي بيحصل على أرض مصر، مصر العظيمة بتاريخها، صاحبة أعظم حضارة عرفتها البشرية، بتهدي رحلة المومياوات الملكية لكل الحضارة الإنسانية.
Yes, as Gem is Egypt's gift to the whole world, so we are again presenting the royal mummy's golden parade as a gift to all humanity. And we will be following minute by minute on April the 3rd exclusively through the whole day here on Nile TV International, the procession and how it moves from one stop to the other until the royals are going to arrive at their final destination. Yomna, we were talking about the mummification process and the secrets behind this process, and why were not all the secrets revealed to us, or there were certain secrets that still remain a puzzle for us, though we have reached higher standards of technology. However, some secrets remain at a standstill. Why in your opinion?
Well, this is the concern of many scientists today in the world. They are trying to find out how they did that. How can such a sophisticated operation preserve the human body for thousands of years? With all the technology, as you said, in the States, they are doing experiments, failed. They couldn't mummify like the Egyptians did. So actually what I personally believe, due to the fact that mummification was not done for free, so it was the business of the priesthood of Egypt, and of course the priesthood were very powerful. And despite the fact that the ancient Egyptian civilization is the best documented civilization by its own people, so they wrote for us to know about their history, their monuments, their tradition, their customs, but there were some things that they kept it for themselves. They kept it as a secret, first of all, because mummification was the source of income to the priesthood, so they will not reveal it, and it remained in the family of the priesthood from one generation to the other. And by the end of the ancient Egyptian civilization, we have also mummies from the Greek Ptolemy era, and then it vanished slightly after the coming of the new religion, Christianity, and then Islam. So it was kept like, you know, I always say it's like a good chef who doesn't want to share his recipe.
Yeah.
And this is exactly how the priesthood did that for the mummification. And indeed, they didn't share the recipe. We are still working, scientists are working, and their result is just in front of the eyes of the entire world.
Yes, definitely. And still, while following the mummification process, and you said a point that I would like to highlight again, which is concerning getting rid of the brain, however, while preserving, for instance, the heart and other organs. So definitely there is a significance behind that.
Sure. And some people misunderstand that. I get reactions from tourists. They say, they throw the brain, they didn't know the function and the importance of the brain, and I tell them, just wait a minute. Do not underestimate the Egyptians who did such a sophisticated operation for mummification. They studied anatomy, they were brilliant and advanced in medicine and all this, and say they did not know the function of the brain. Of course they did, but there is a very important religious, philosophical belief behind that. The ancient Egyptians believed that people will be judged according to their heart, not their brain. And they believed that all mankind are born peaceful and kind and good by heart. Today, when we talk about anything good, we say you are a sweetheart, we say you are kind-hearted, and when we talk about evil acts, like we say they are brainwashed, they manipulated their brains. So, in our mindset as mankind, everything related to goodness comes from our heart, and this is what we say also in the holy religions. It's doing by your heart and your intention. And in our mindset, once you use your brain in a bad way or a negative way, like we say, children are born innocent. They don't know how to lie or cheat. Once they start learning this, it comes from using their brain. So philosophically, they get rid of the brain as a sign that in the afterlife, we're all going to live by our heart, by the good, the natural good in us. So this was like a philosophical, and you see this shown on the papyrus, on the famous scene of the judgment scene, where they put the heart against the feather of truth and justice on a scale. And if your heart is heavy, it means your heart is full of bad deeds. So you're not going to the afterlife. But if your heart is as light as the feather, it means you have a free heart. And that's a symbolic scene. They did not really weigh the heart against the feather, but that's to show that the judgment will be according to our heart, which did not change till today.
Yes. I'm just thinking of the different worldwide headlines, how it is going to be coming, for instance, next Sunday,
Yes.
after the royal procession and after watching the royals. Guess what? But I guess this is going to leave an impact on
Definitely.
people all over the world. In what way are you expecting the increase in tourism and further attractions of Egypt due to such a beautiful scenery and such a breathtaking event?
First of all, I already see this coming. People are talking about it now, talking about when they can come, when they can see the mummies, whether Egypt is, today Egypt is mentioned in all the media, the international media.
Yes.
Not just because of the parade, but because of other achievements that we have done lately. So we are going to be in the international media for a very good time. That's the best marketing for Egypt. And also, as you said, people are talking about the mummies are coming. The mummies are going here, going there.
Yes.
And they are going to talk actually about, you know, I was thinking when you said that, what about the film production? I believe there were going to be some ideas of movies and films, historical films or something about the mummies, like we had Cleopatra and we had other historical films, and from our Egyptian cinema as well, like the film of Shadi Abdel Salam and all the films that we know about ancient Egypt and the mummy. So
Exactly.
we're gonna have some action, and it's gonna move the world. It's gonna move around Egypt. Film production, tourism, of course, is gonna encourage tourism, and tourists are looking to see all these things and to be in that place. And those lucky ones are the ones who are going to book as fast as possible and going to seize the chance and see all this in its brand new dress before the mass tourism comes back to Egypt like it was before.
Yeah. If you were in the ancient times or during the time of the pharaohs, which mummy would you, which character, which royal would you love to meet?
For a male, I will choose Ramses II, because I'm very impressed about the achievements he did. One of the pharaohs who ruled for a very long time, almost died at the age of 96. The history, he made the peace treaty, the love, the side of the man of the love he had for his beautiful wife Nefertari, the structure of, by the way, I'm a tourist guide and I go to those places like millions of times,
Yeah.
the temples and the pyramids. The place that takes my breath away every time I go, like it's the first time, the temple of Abu Simbel at the borders of Egypt, the southern part, overlooking Lake Nasser. Two sides. Lake Nasser is like the biggest artificial lake in the world. Abu Simbel, 1,000 years ago, with this structure, cut rock temple into the mountains, 60 meters deep into the mountain. Very impressive. So Ramses is the guy I like to meet on a personal level. And for the female, again, Hatshepsut.
Yeah.
This powerful lady, this determined lady.
She was a leader.
She was a leader and the first female ruler for a great kingdom in history, and also to know the personal side and her achievements for the Egyptians, trying to find a job for every Egyptian, the economic achievements by sending the Pont expedition and doing the bounding with Africa. Today, on an economical level, they say Africa is the new market for Egypt, and Hatshepsut thought of that 1,000 years ago. So Hatshepsut is the person I would like to meet, and when you look at her face, her mummy, you sense that she's a lady, but she is also a pharaoh.
Yeah, yeah, which means that she paid attention to her beauty, but at the same time she was a leader.
Yes.
And she had leadership skills as well. Well, we have more than one angle while talking about marketing Egypt and about the efforts that has been exerted by the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, and according to the directives of the President, to modernize Cairo and to pay special attention to the different archaeological sites. So in every corner now you can see, we had the visit by Prime Minister Madbouli to Old Cairo also recently.
Yes.
And we've seen all that, and definitely this leaves tourists, you know, quite very much interested to come and to see for themselves also the change and the measures that has been taken and the efforts exerted.
I'll tell you something that I heard yesterday. Yesterday I was attending the Egypt Economic Forum, the 13th Egypt Economic Forum, and one of the foreign representatives of foreign embassies in Egypt who lives here for some time, he stood up and he said, I have been living here for many years and I see a change. This word actually touched me very much. He said, I see the change.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what you said. There is a change in many aspects. On a touristic marketing for Egypt and all the museums that are being opened, all the areas that are being restored, during the pandemic, we are working day and night, restoring historical areas and sites.
Opening new museums.
Opening new museums. Excavation and unearthing did not stop. Look, in the past year, it was a glamorous year for Saqqara.
Yes.
Many findings.
By the way, I saw you more than once, you know, even on your Facebook page, Marketing Egypt from Saqqara. And maybe this is a chance also to tell your fans all over the world and your friends as well and our audience concerning this dear part of the country.
Saqqara?
Yes.
Saqqara is the oldest and the longest in use necropolis in the entire world, not just in Egypt. And Saqqara did not reveal all its secrets. So it's a must when you come to Egypt to visit Saqqara, to see the place where the first pyramid, the step pyramid, the first pyramid on this planet was built, the step pyramid of King Zoser, to see the brilliant place where this revolution happened in architecture. We were using weak material, and then we moved from mud brick to stone, sandstone and lime. Early dynasties all the way to the Greek and Roman period. So Saqqara, tourist, behold, every place you're putting your foot on Egypt, there are treasures. So walk with respect on this country. I tell them that. When you step into Egypt, walk with respect, because every place you put your feet on, there are treasures. Mankind treasures, and this is actually the best I can say.
Yes, definitely. Egypt is an open-air museum, and the whole world is anticipating the Royal Mummies Parade, Golden Parade, Yes, a breathtaking event and an event that happens once in a lifetime. Here at Nile TV International, we've been very busy also preparing for this event, which is considered to be also breathtaking for us too, because this is a channel that speaks to the whole world and markets Egypt, the beautiful and beloved country, to the whole world, the cradle of civilization. Let's watch together one of the promos that Nile TV International produced in preparation for this glamorous story in sighting Tahrir Square, and the final touches that have been put before the royal procession proceeds through a vision here by our talented Amr Mahmoud. Let's watch. Well, we are back, and we're talking about how this important event is grabbing the attention of the whole world, and definitely shedding light on a lifetime and breathtaking event, and why they were found in caches in the first place has a reflection, has a significance.
Sure. Cache is like a deep shaft where we found, like the Dir al-Bahri cache, for example, where 10 of the mummies are coming from, is a hidden place near the mortuary or funerary temple of Hatshepsut. And the idea, this was not their place. Their original place, each king in his own tomb in Valley of the Kings. But by the end of the New Kingdom time, the 18th dynasty, that there was lots of robbery and stealing and plundering in the Valley of the Kings. So the significance here, that when people say the Europeans or foreigners were the first Egyptologists, say no, the Egyptians themselves, the ancient Egyptians, because they were the first to think about protecting their own monuments. So the priests of the 21st dynasty, Pa-Najm I and the second, they decided to take all the mummies from their tombs and hide them in this cache to protect the royal mummies. So that was the sense of caring. They took them from the original tombs and they hide them, all of them, at one shot in this cache. And we have Karnak cache, we have Dir al-Bahri cache, we have, this happened a lot in periods of stealing and robbery. They did that to protect the mummies and to protect their ancestors. One of the mummies is Thutmose IV, who actually also cared about restoring Egyptian monuments. He went to the Great Pyramids of Giza and he cleaned off the sand from the Great Sphinx, and he erected the stela, which is known today as the dream stela, telling his dream, how he was asked in a dream to go to a place that's in time about 1,500 years difference from when he lived. So the great pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx were already monuments and antiquities for the pharaohs who lived in the New Kingdom time. And they went back to clean the sand and to show the monuments of their ancestors.
Yes, it's a great event, definitely. We're running out of time, but however, we are full of enthusiasm to follow up, and all the minute details actually matter. And all media outlets, international media outlets, local media outlets, Nile TV International will be registering the moment. April 3rd is not an ordinary day. It's definitely a day that we are all awaiting, not only here in Egypt, but all over the world. I thank you very much, our dear distinctive tourist guide, Mrs. Yomna Salama, for coming to Nile TV. And it's a history-making episode, Yomna, while we talked about our royals with a sense of pride. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me, Nile TV International, the voice of Egypt to the world. And we are looking forward to a great parade and the living mummies.
Yes, we are. And God bless Egypt. Always Tahya Misr.